Good day. My name is Olusun Benjamin. I'm in Group 1, and I'm here to present on the topic the strategic impact of inflation on oil and gas industry. So, let's continue. So, here is a quick overview of what I will cover today. I will start with an introduction. Now, look at the industry and well as the company. Then I'll go through the strategic frames, which is you have the pestle, you have the Porter's five forces. I'll come to my conclusion. I'll go to the strategic recommendations and the rest. So this is the agenda. So let's continue. So now we come to the introduction. So someone will say, so why does inflation matter for businesses? Now then we go. Inflation is one of the most powerful external forces any company can face. When price rises, production becomes more expensive, consumers spend less, and planning for the future becomes very difficult. Now, this petroleum is especially serious for the oil and gas industry. Why? Because petroleum is priced globally in dollars. Ghana does not produce its own refined fuel. We import it. So when the dollar becomes stronger and the cedi weakens, the cost of bringing in fuel goes up immediately. Our study looked at Ghana's downstream oil and gas sector, focusing on oil using the 2024 annual reports and frameworks like the PESTAL, Porter's five forces, and a resource-based view. So let's continue. Now, we look at the external analysis. So let's talk about where the inflation comes from and how it goes. So after COVID-19 in 2020, the global supply chain broke down. Then the Russia-Ukraine war caused energy price to spike worldwide. Here in Ghana, inflation peaked at about 54% in December 2022. That's more than half of the value of money lost in purchasing power in just 1 year. According to Bank of Ghana, by 2024, inflation came down to around 23%, but it was still very high for oil companies because they still had to buy fuel in dollars. In terms of numbers, Brent crude oil went from about 70% per barrel in 2021 to 120 per barrel in mid 2022. Ghana cedi lost over 30% of its value in 2022. For Goil especially, their revenue actually dropped from 21.72 billion in 2023 to 20.36 billion in 2024. But here is the interesting part. Their profit went up. Well explained how they generated that. So let's continue. Now we come to the industry background, well overview. Let me give you some content on the industry and the company. Ghana's downstream oil and sector involve importing, transporting and selling petroleum products, petrol, diesel, aviation fuel and LPGs. The companies are called oil marketing companies or OMGCs. Goil is the largest industry OMG in Ghana. They have been listed in Ghana's stock exchange since 2007. The government of Ghana owns 34.23% of the company. Then and they operate a worldwide network of service stations and deals in multiple segments: retail, fuel, aviation, lubricants, and LPGs. So let's continue. Then we come to the analysis part. Now let's use the PESTAL framework. Yes, the PESTAL framework to understand GOIL. GOIL extend government environment. So politically, GOIL operates under heavy government regulation. The Company Act 2019, Security Industry Act 2016, and Ghana Stock Exchange rules government. Pricing the subsidy policies directly affect how they respond to inflation economically. This is where inflation hits hardest. Their bank loans rose to 886.2 million, and customers own them 1.78 billion in trade receivables, raising interest rates makes borrowing very expensive, especially GOIL invested 11.5 million in CRS in 2024. Communities programs. So you come to the community programs, protect their brand even when fuel price rises. Technologically, their subsidiaries Go Financial Service Limits provide electronic payment service, making operations more efficient. Legally, they follow IFRS accounting standards, which build investors' trust. So come to the environmentally, it's broad. It's already training for upcoming environment regulations and subsidiaries requirements. So let's continue. When we come to the Porters 5 helps understand the competition in the oil industry. Supply power and high petroleum is bought globally in US dollars. So oil has very little control over the pricing they pay. Buying power is moderate. Large buyers like government institutions demand volume and this creates credit risk for oil competitive. Rivalry is high. There is also there are many OMGCs companies in Ghana. Gold stays ahead through its wide network and delivers products. So 464 million of fuel deals, and we have 89.5 million in lubricants, and we have 19.9 million in bitumen. Threat of new entry is low and moderate. Setting up an oil marketing company requires massive capital license and logistic goal. Existing infrastructure is strong barrier. Threat of subsidy of emerging. Renewable energy and electric vehicle are slowly growing in the long run. This could reduce demand for petroleum. So let's continue. Then we come to the stakeholders analysis. Stakeholders analysis. Every major group connected to the goal has been affected by inflation. Shareholders and investors went profits and dividend. Goil proposed a 21.9 million dividend for 2024, showing they are still rewarding investors despite challenges. Governments and regulators set the rules and pricing and financial reporting. Customers, both individual and corporate clients, face credit risk and inflation makes it harder for them to pay on time. Communities benefit from GOIL 11.5 million CRS investors, employees, and management are governed by the structure committee that oversees risk and operations. So let's continue. So we will go to our conclusion. So in conclusion, we will say that the wrap up inflation has significantly impacted GOIL through rising cost, financial pressure, and marketing validity. But GOIL has shown remarkable resilience. They remain profitable, grow their earning, and continue paying dividend. Inflation actually pushed GOIL to become more disciplined, more strategic, and more dissatisfied. Going forward, by continuing to huge risk, diversify revenue, and invest in dynamic capabilities, GOIL is well positioned and maintained in competition advantage even in Ghana's exchange economy. Thank you.